John Lipsky, welcome to WPC TV.
Thank
You
you.
are a very distinguished former first Deputy Managing Director of the IMF. And the IMF has, for its sins, or perhaps not for its sins, has moved from the Washington Consensus to other things as well. How do you view the Euro crisis?
Well, it has reflected a couple of problems that were evident from the very beginning of monetary union. And it strikes me that the discussion often loses that perspective. One of the problems that was recognized from the outset was the problem of the conditions to get into monetary union, but the lack of clarity regarding what would provide policy discipline within the monetary union once it was going. That's why the Stability and Growth Pact was developed and the no bailout rule was developed, and why there was no provision for exiting the monetary union, because the basic idea was once you were in, you were going to be forced to make adjustments. And what was not foreseen was that market discipline was going to fail comprehensively and provide huge amounts of credit to countries that should not have received it. Now, the pendulum in crisis has gone the other way, in that market discipline is egregious.
Yeah.
We have to find a way through that.
By egregious, do you mean self-defeating in a way?
Excessive. And a way has to be found to reestablish sensible market discipline. Secondly, it was also recognized from the outset of a need for, let's call it pan-European institutions that would be the counterpart, the political counterpart, if you will, of the currency union. But as you know very well, at the outset there was no consensus on the ultimate form of those institutions, so the decision was left to, let's say, develop it on horseback. Yeah. And as the need arose, the institutions would be created. What had not been foreseen was the challenge was going to be, if I will, the mother of all financial crises emanating from the United States. So all of this has been quite unforeseen. The European institutions have, the European Union and the Eurozone in particular has reacted with difficulty, but has made very difficult steps so far. Will they carry through and make enough difficult steps to preserve the Eurozone? I think the answer is very clearly yes. Going back to the beginning, the idea of the single currency, there are those who say it had political reasons, etc., which I'm sure it did, but the heart of it was the conviction on enough people that it actually occurred that the single currency was needed to cement in perpetuity the single market.
Absolutely.
And that, if it was debatable 20 years ago, and it's debatable today, but it strikes me as less debatable today than 20 years ago, an unwinding of the Eurozone would elementally threaten the single market.
But in a sense, the irony now, or paradox, is that if you have a Grexit, for example, you start imperiling the European Union itself, and certainly the single market. I mean, it would
Indeed.
be.
Of course, you can say no, but
yes.
if you were in the head of a Eurozone government, is that a risk you would want to run? And my guess is no, relative to the steps that will be necessary to preserve the Eurozone, which in the end are in the interests of all the Eurozone members themselves.
One of the points you made in your very interesting remarks in the conference was about confidence. Now, David Cameron, a long time ago now, said that basically, we need the big bazooka to convince the markets not to be speculating against the euro or against Greece, Spain and Portugal and so on.
Yes.
Well, there wasn't a big bazooka. And it seems to me that market sentiment has only changed after Mario Draghi said, ECB will do whatever it takes. Is the level of confidence now enough? And if you were running Europe, a job which, of course, in a way doesn't exist, but if you were, what would you do?
Well, it strikes me that, for one, the steps that have been taken are quite elemental, but have to be completed. The creation of the European stabilization mechanism needs to be demonstrated in the sense of, dare I say it, show me the money.
Yeah.
Secondly, the banking union is a concept that enjoys today broad support, but the details need to be filled in, and it has to be made convincing. The large countries of the Eurozone that have been under severe market pressure have also got to demonstrate their willingness and ability to implement the very difficult adjustment steps that everyone agrees, if implemented correctly, will set the stage for improved economic performance and greater confidence within the Eurozone. I must say that the fundamental signs have been, the recent fundamental signs have been positive. If the big disappointment and the source of the recent challenges has been the unexpected loss of competitiveness of the peripheral countries relative to the core countries over the past decade, the latest data show a reversal of those trends, which is just what has been needed. What is now lacking, or what now needs to be cemented in place, is confidence that those positive trends will be sustained. So you can hear voices of despair, but in fact, the fundamental facts have finally turned in a better direction.
We'll keep our fingers crossed. Excellent. John Lipsky, thank you very much indeed.
Very welcome.